Rejoice, O vessel of God's wisdom. Rejoice, O treasury of His providence. God's wisdom is the inspiration of the greatest church ever built, the Cathedral of Hagia Sophia, the Cathedral of the Orthodox Church, the Cathedral of the Mother Church. For many centuries, since the erection of this beautiful nave, it has been a symbol. And Hagia Sophia is emblematic of Byzantine Orthodoxy. Hagia Sophia was the place where many saints celebrated the most sacred sacraments, and kings and emperors worshipped with the people. Hagia Sophia was the place where the Ti Permacho, the hymn of today's Kondakion, was chanted for the first time. And it echoed throughout its gorgeous dome, which for many centuries was the largest dome in the world, the largest building, the largest church in the world. Now, not one architect dared to imitate the grandeur and splendor of Hagia Sophia. Many people were inspired by it, and many temples of different religions were inspired and modeled by it, but no one tried to emulate, because there is only one Hagia Sophia, dedicated to the wisdom of God, a wisdom that we so much need in a world without any sense of direction, a world without any sense of prudence, any sense of wisdom. When people try to hurt each other, when people don't respect religious freedom or the rights of minorities, we see that we have suffered so much. When Hagia Sophia was built, initially, the first church in that location by Constantius, the son of Constantine the Great, Saint Constantine, the first Christian emperor of the Roman Empire. And then in the years of Justinian the Great, a huge and magnificent cathedral was erected, the one we know today. And it celebrated all the sacraments until the year 1453. Now, for us, that year was a year of pain, when we could no longer hear the bells of Hagia Sophia. For all these hundreds of years, we don't want Hagia Sophia to be a mosque, because it was not built to be a mosque. We don't want it even to be a museum, because it was not built to be a museum. It was built to be a church. How can our friends and neighbors who are Jewish, how would they react if someone destroyed and did not allow them to go to the Temple of Solomon? How would our Catholic friends and neighbors react if they were not allowed to enter and celebrate in the Basilica of St. Peter? How do we react? Do we always step back? Do we always give up? Do we always choose to surrender? We pay the mistakes of many centuries because we have chosen to surrender. We've paid the sins of many leaderships. We have chosen to always be tranquil and peaceful, and never to fight for our own, for what belongs to us. Hagia Sophia belongs to our church. It's a cathedral. Now today, we saw the president of the Turkish state bend down on the floor and bow down. The icon of Panagia was hidden behind what I call a ferenje, a curtain. But it's still there. He can fool his people. He can pretend it's not there, but it is there. The icon is there. They try to destroy beautiful mosaics, but they are still there. Behind the emblems, behind the curtains, behind the carpets, everything that is sacred is there. It will never be hidden. They can pretend it's a mosque, but it's not. They are bowing down in a cathedral, in a church. I would never, ever bend my knee in a mosque. I would respect the mosque and allow and rejoice that other people go and pray. But I would never take somebody else's property, somebody else's religious symbol, somebody else's mosque or temple and make it my own. Because we have the most beautiful and the most blessed and the most sacred. We don't want somebody else's. That's the difference. We don't steal people's history. When you go to Bordeaux and you see the statue of Homer, a Turkish poet, and I ask, Andra miene pen musa politlopon, what does that mean? I asked every Turkish person in that location. Nobody knew what Andra meant. Nobody understood the beginning of Iliad. I said, how can he then be a Turkish poet if he doesn't speak Turkish, if he hasn't written anything in Turkish, if he's Greek? How do you call this just? You have your history, honor it. Don't take other people's history or other people's religious symbols. Because today I heard the president of Turkey said, Hagia Sophia. What does that mean? Holy wisdom. Whose holy wisdom? Christ's holy wisdom. So you are celebrating and bowing down in front of Christ. The icon is there. Hagia Sophia is God's wisdom. Maybe he is a convert. Many people said that he was a crypto-Christian. So, in my eyes, this beautiful verse, rejoice with treasury of his providence. It's time that God's providence will come true, that we will ask, demand, and take what is ours, our churches to celebrate. 4 churches we lost this year. We can ask and demand and take Saint Irini so our priests can go there. Hora and the beautiful monasteries. The monasteries that became stables for animals. The churches in northern occupied Cyprus that have animals in them, in their altar. The places that we have that belong to our forefathers, built by our forefathers with blood and sweat. So our chalices can go back into those altars and our people can come and celebrate and kiss the icons that were savagely destroyed and barbarically destroyed, eyes taken out, faces defaced. This is what we're praying for. We're praying for peace. We're also praying for justice. Η Αγία του Θεού Σοφία να επιδαψιλεύει, να φωτίζει και να αγιάζει πάντα σημάς. Αμήν.